Satsang-81. Give up doubt and discrimination. 15th October, 1935. Evening Satsang. Discrimination means differentiation or separateness. This means the absence of equality. In equality, there is no sense of high and low, and no distinction such as dirty or clean. Equality is that feeling where there is no inquiry as to how another is. By removing the doubt of inequality, we must know that Brahman is one in all things. Even in respecting all as Brahman, we must prostrate before them. By completely disregarding the social etiquette, we must do this. Lord Krishna has clearly told about this spiritual practice, this sadhana. We must view everyone, including our own body, as Brahman. We must cultivate this attitude until it is imprinted firmly on our heart. Whatever appears to our eyes and whatever one feels is there without actually seeing it, including the mentally imagined concepts, are all only Brahman without making any effort. This must be the conviction of our innermost being. Everything is the life energy, consciousness, which is of the nature of knowledge. What the mind sees and what the eyes see is all only Brahman. Our sadhana must go to this extent. We must be convinced that the imagined and the unimaginable are all only Brahman. This is the last check as to whether we have understood properly or not. When you are sure that what is imagined by the mind and what is beyond the scope of the mind is all Brahman and one's own self, then that is the culmination of the Vedas and of all the actions of our daily life. The sadhana of the one who is convinced that all is Brahman has been completed. Sadhana must be done so long as Brahman is not fully realized. To one who is convinced that whatever is experienced in waking consciousness, in dream, or in deep sleep is all only one's own self, there is no further need for sadhana. You must feel that the person whom you were despising up to this point is also only yourself. If you still feel enmity towards anyone, you can be sure that your sadhana is not yet complete. One who does not feel separateness is truly perfected. All of the activities that you are doing, the activities are all Param Atman, the Supreme Self. There is nothing else in the world. You must have devotion in such a way that you feel that yourself is in every being. The Lord says, you will not have divine vision, divine experience by any other methods, even if you try for eons. Knowing this, you must meditate only on Param Atman, and that it is everywhere. Leave your clever logic and all types of mental acrobatics. The one who very easily and naturally sees Brahman everywhere is on the true path of devotion. I have told you the very essence, the key to attaining the state of Brahman. By this, truly you will realize yourself, which is real wisdom, jnana. This must be done wholeheartedly with body, speech, and mind. For the mind is very cunning, but the mind cannot touch Param Atman. It cannot really even create bondage for the self. Param Atman is always undisturbed and without any blemish, spotless, without containing any matter. Matter is prone to deterioration and destruction. Matter can never touch Param Atman. You must not try to do anything with the mind, such as supposing or imagining anything about Param Atman. All activity belongs only to the mind. You must not misuse your speech in uttering malicious thoughts, and it is even worse to be jealously fermenting within. Everyone has some vice, but nobody wants to reveal their bad side. They try to conceal it. This is all a matter of misunderstanding. At least try not to browbeat others. Why should you expect that everyone should obey you? Everyone should have freedom. In short, why should they act according to your wish? Why should there be such tyranny? So do not be like that. Consider all of your actions as expressions of the Supreme Self. If one feels that one is in body, speech, and mind only Param Atman, their experience will be according to that sentiment. Even the concept that I am looking at all beings as if they are Param Atman should also go, because what other is there for me to see? Is this entire world the Supreme Self only because I think it so? Even if you do not think so, the whole world is already only Param Atman from the beginning. One need not assert it. The fact that I am the Supreme Self must be very clearly and firmly understood. Only then is the mind in that state, which is without any cause. Brahman is always existing without any cause. One whose consciousness is fixed on the self immediately understands what is said here. However, for others, we have to reiterate it again and again in various ways. So we must prostrate ourselves in humility to all beings, respecting them as Param Atman. By humility, we can have a place in everyone's heart. By humility, one is always unassuming and remains pure and blemish-free. In this way, our unselfish life can permeate all beings. Humility is a great virtue. There lies great strength in being humble. It requires great bravery to remain humble. In humility, all is Brahman. And even the thought, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, also disappears. What else is there except Brahman? Where the sense of yours, others, and mine have been swallowed up, all similes and comparisons disappear into unity. Then one is fed up with trying to even talk about Brahman. That state is where God and his devotee do not remain separate. Both God and devotee are gone. God created illusion, and for some time the devotee abided in this Maya. Afterwards, God and the devotee were both gone. Originally, both were not really existing at all, and accordingly they have disappeared. The one essence, without duality, is as it is, always. A saint is often criticized. What kind of saint is he? He is not a saint. Yet the saint says, what saint? All is only illusion. As the true saint is fully aware of the futility of giving any name to reality. The aspirant must be very alert and careful. Emotions and passions will arise unbridled and will run after the enjoyment of sense objects. We must recognize these very subtle desires that are residual in consciousness. These subtle desires are the lust for sense enjoyments and must be as lifeless as flowers once offered to a deity which have become wilted and are then disposed of. This must not remain only a verbal assertion, but an actuality in our consciousness. If there is not a speck or drop of desire in our being, desire itself dies. And when desire dies, desirelessness becomes the expression of the mind, and contentment is its essence, the very nature of the self. There is no urge arising to enjoy anything, because there is nothing other as such that is attracting us. It is only when we speak the word other that the thought of having something or enjoying something arises. Something other means something outside of us or objective to us. And oneself means contentment in the self alone. In Atman, duality, that is, of one thing enjoying the other, does not remain. The feeling of enjoyment is but an attitude of mind. Its dissolution is possible through abidance in Atman. The self is one, self-existent, without any relationship of a dual nature. It is true that by the disappearance of the sense of worldly life, all is absolute pure consciousness. However, this is always true even before the sense of any disappearance of a worldly life or belief in objectivity. Whose illusion is it? Yours or someone else's? It is only you, a pseudo-egoic movement, who is misunderstanding. This illusion harasses the one who holds on to it. This worldly life is there only so long as you treat it as true. It ends when you are sure of its falsehood.